Hello and welcome, I'm Thomas Porteous and you're watching the World Report on NewsX World. Let's take a look at some of the top headlines of the hour. At least 39 people are killed after two trains collide near Cordoba in southern Spain. Over 70 are hospitalized as authorities launch an investigation into the cause. Denmark's Prime Minister says Europe will not be blackmailed by President Trump's tariff threats over Greenland. 8 US allies warn his plans risk a dangerous escalation as he does not rule out using force. Syria declares a nationwide ceasefire with Kurdish-led forces after nearly 2 weeks of fighting. The deal integrates the SDF into state institutions and restores government control over key regions. The Pentagon orders around 1,500 active duty soldiers in Alaska to prepare for possible deployment to Minnesota amid large protests over ice. The troops are on prepare to deploy orders in case violence escalates. Ukraine's top negotiator says peace talks with US officials continue as the Davos Forum opens today. President Donald Trump is set to appear as talks focus on security guarantees and post-war recovery. A lawyer files an impeachment complaint against President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. for allowing Rodrigo Duterte's transfer to The Hague in the Philippines. The case follows Duterte's arrest over deadly drug war killings that occurred during his presidency. China's birth rate falls to its lowest level on record in 2025, according to official data. Just 7.92 million births are recorded as the population shrinks for a fourth straight year. A magnitude 6 earthquake strikes northwestern Kashmir in India, according to the EMSC. The quake occurs at a depth of 35 kilometers with no immediate damage reports. We start this hour in Europe, in Spain, where a high-speed train derailed and smashed into another oncoming train in Cordoba, pushing the second train off the tracks and down an embankment in a collision. According to the police, at least 39 people have now been confirmed dead in the incident. The accident happened near Ademuz in the province of Cordoba at about 360 kilometers south of the capital, Madrid. According to the chief of Andalusia's regional government, Juan Moreno, of the 75 people hospitalized, 15 are in serious condition. There were around 400 passengers on the two trains, most of them Spaniards travelling back to and from Madrid after the weekend. It was unclear how many tourists could be on board, as January is not holiday season in Spain. Meanwhile, the Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez says that Spain is enduring a night of deep pain after trains collided and has called for a thorough investigation. We'll of course bring you all the updates on that developing situation coming out of Spain as soon as we get them. But we move next to the east of the continent, and Russian drones struck Ukraine's southern Odesa region, damaging emergency gas and residential infrastructure. The governor, Ole Kiper, confirmed one person was injured and a critical infrastructure facility was also hit, though details are unclear. While the Ukraine energy minister says Kyiv will implement projects to improve electricity transmission from western Ukraine to the east. In Odesa, a multi-story residential building was struck, causing damage to 2 apartments, the facade, windows, and nearby vehicles. Explosions were also reported in the Zaporozhye region, with air raid warnings issued for Zaporozhye, Dnipropetrovsk, Nikolaev, Kharkov and Chernigov regions. Additionally, infrastructure in Odessa was damaged in the early hours of Monday, according to military officials. Authorities are continuing to assess the situation as tensions rise across the region. Joining us now to discuss this is Glenn Grant, an ex-advisor to the Defence Minister of Ukraine and a geopolitical commentator. He joins us live from Riga in Latvia. Glenn, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you
for joining us. Of course, aerial offences continue with infrastructure damaged in Odessa and other regions. Of course, winter is getting colder in Europe's east. How are Ukrainians on the ground feasing with the ongoing strikes on energy infrastructure across the civilian population?
Well, obviously, it's horrible. I mean, a lot of the buildings in Kiev, for example, just no power at all. So no light, no heating, no anything. I mean, people have actually taken to going outside, even in the cold, and barbecuing in groups to actually keep spirits up. What is interesting is that I've seen almost nothing negative from anybody. The sort of the refrain at the moment is, well, spring is going to come, and we've just got to see this through for the next couple of weeks. And I think that's pretty much the attitude of most of Ukraine. It's the worrying is always is Odessa being hit, because Odessa is still a major part of the export ability of the country, and nobody wants that to be stopped. Let's just say that, because it would damage the economy even more than the economy is damaged now.
And what are the capabilities there right now, Glenn? Because as you said, it frequently comes up in the targeting of the both Russian drones and missiles. As you've said, it's a key exporter to the Black Sea. Is it still able to export goods and help Ukraine's economy, or is it under severe strain right now?
No, it's still working. I mean, the damage that is put there is I'm going to say serious, but it's really hard to damage places where it's ships and port and cranes and everything else, because it's so large. Odessa is not a small port, and it's actually, you could say it's not just Odessa, it's the whole strip along there all the way around to Romania. So what's been happening is a lot more of the goods and services have actually gone further down the coast to Romania, to the Danube, and then been loaded there and come out. So people are being innovative in their ability to actually shift goods out. So I don't think that Russia in the short term is going to be able to destroy the whole ability to export. But of course, what it does do is it eats money, Ukrainian money for repair, for everything else that has to be changed.
And Glenn, of course, the Davos conference kicks off today, and a top Ukrainian negotiator has said that these talks between Witkoff, Kushner and Ukrainian delegations will continue at the forum. Do you have any hopes for this coming week when it comes to diplomacy?
No, not at all. But for the simple reason that unless Russia is involved, then there is no diplomacy. What there is a constant drip from the American side to try and get Ukraine to give in, to change its stance that it's not going to accept the Russian demands. And Ukraine is sort of giving a little bit here and a little bit there. It's death by 1,000 cuts, to put it bluntly. And a lot of people think that the Zelensky is actually reaching the point where he's almost willing to give up now. But the general population is not behind him on that. They're all pretty strong, saying no. We got to stick this out. We can win this.
Trump gave an interview to the Reuters news agency last week, Glenn. blaming Zelensky once again for continuing the war. Talking about that, Russians being at the table, why do you think Donald Trump and the US administration isn't pushing Vladimir Putin for a direct high-level delegation between Ukrainian and Russian officials to meet?
Epstein, no more, no less. Trump does not want Epstein to come out, and the Russians have got a terrific hold on him. That's clear. A treasonous hold on him, all to do with Epstein, and he will avoid that being brought into focus of everything he can do. So he's in hock to Russia. Therefore, he cannot go to Russia and try and persuade them to do anything. His only recourse is to do what Putin wants him to do, which is to bully and beat down Zelensky, which he is doing day on day on day. We all hear it. I'm just surprised that more people don't push back against it from other countries.
Glenn, do stay with us as we move on to the Middle East for our next story. And in a significant development, Kazakhstan's president, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, has accepted an invitation from US President Donald Trump to join the newly formed Board of Peace. The initiative will bring together world leaders and diplomats, including representatives from India, Jordan, Pakistan and Hungary, all of whom have been invited to be part of the board. Hungary has accepted as well, with Prime Minister Viktor Orban expressing his honour in joining the initiative. Earlier, the White House unveiled the members of the new Board of Peace for Gaza, with the US President Donald Trump serving as chair. The executive board will oversee Gaza's temporary governance and reconstruction efforts. Key members include former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio and World Bank President Ajay Banga. Further members are expected in the coming weeks. Glenn joins us once again. Glenn, of course, 60 countries have now been reached out to be part of this so-called Board of Peace, all of which have to pay a $1 billion fee to join the organisation. Many people, analysts, calling this sort of dystopian move where the United Nations is undermined. Would you agree?
Yeah, totally. I think it's extremely bizarre, a bizarre sort of concept. And you'll note that the countries that are accepted quickly were all those that will be sycophantic to Trump. So he's trying to pull together a completely amorphous group. You know, I got a list here: Vietnam, Paraguay, Argentina, Albania, Hungary. These are the countries that have accepted so far. But strangely, Canada. As well. And I'm not sure why Carney thinks that it's a good idea to be involved in something like this, except that Canada will do anything for Palestine. So that's probably the motivation on that side. But the rest of it, I mean, to have an executive board of Tony Blair, Kushner and Witkoff, I mean, come on. This is not the world's greatest. These are a bunch of grifters, people who are in this for money. And you know, the whole thing smells, frankly. Doesn't mean it won't turn into something good later. But at the moment, it smells. It smells of Trump, it smells of money, and it smells of, in the background, Russia trying to actually produce something that further splits the world organization. So we should treat this with great care.
And of course, there are questions raised about the neutrality. This is supposed to be peace and long and lasting peace in the Middle East, after all. We have the likes of Tony Blair, as you've said, the foreign policy hawk Marco Rubio, and Jared Kushner, of course, Donald Trump's son-in-law, Steve Witkoff, among others. Can you talk to us a little bit more about the characters, their past and credentials to be on the most prestigious board of all time, as Donald Trump puts it?
Well, I mean, Tony Blair has gone from being initially a popular prime minister to being a prime minister who supported the invasion of Iraq, completely against the whole of his nation, basically, who didn't want to do it. and it cost us a lot to do it. And he is generally considered by the majority of British population to be a war criminal because of his actions. And frankly, it seems as though some of this was his idea, and that doesn't surprise me because, as I said, he's a grifter. He's after money. That's his big thing. And and then adding Kushner. I mean, how do you have an independent board where your son-in-law is on it? It's inconceivable. I mean, if you're going to have an independent board, then everybody on that executive board should be independent. They should be people from outside of America, not people who are already bound to Donald Trump for various reasons, good or bad. So it's, I'm not, and I come around to one thing. I'm not sure that the public in Gaza actually want to be involved with this lot. We should wait and see what actually happens. But it's strange, and making Mladov, who was the special envoy to Gaza and was a complete failure, making him sort of chairman of the board is, I'm afraid, just a nonsense. So I don't know. I mean, this is the mad world we're in at the moment. We didn't need this. We needed common sense and stability, not something that pulls all Donald Trump's friends together to do something. So he wants a peace prize. Let's give him one and hope the rest of it all goes away.
Glenn Grant, as always, thank you very much for joining us. It's a pleasure to talk to you on these issues. We now move on and over to India, and the capital, Delhi, is grappling with a severe air quality crisis as the air quality index has surged into the severe category once again, triggering the return of GRAP Stage 4 restrictions. This means a fresh set of curbs are to be imposed that are aimed at reducing pollution levels in the capital. These measures are effective immediately, and they primarily focus on controlling emissions from vehicles, which is a major contributor to Delhi's winter pollution. Under GRAP Stage 4, the entry of non-Delhi registered vehicles below BS 6 emission standards are banned, alongside a restriction on diesel vehicles that do not meet BS 6 norms. Additionally, construction activities and non-essential diesel goods carriers are prohibited, while schools are required to switch to hybrid mode. The air quality deterioration was evident as the AQI reached 428 by evening on January the 18th, surpassing the 400 mark, which is considered severe. Moreover, key areas like Anand Vihar and Dwarka recorded AQI levels exceeding 460. Joining us now is Anand Arya, an environmental expert and activist, joining us live from New Delhi. Thank you very much for joining us, Anand. Of course, this is a huge topic to tackle. Once again, the government has had to impose these restrictions due to the severely poor air quality in Delhi. Some places it is invisible. You can't see 50 feet in front of your face. What is your analysis and how state authorities are tackling this issue?
You see, as far as this issue is concerned, it had been on the table, and the whole of population of Delhi and the National Capital Region, which is an extended area, had been suffering for the last 15 years or so. Now, we have been raising voices all over all this time. Many studies have been done which have not only identified the sources of pollution, but also sort of apportioned the quantum each source causes. And also they have suggested a lot of measures. But unfortunately, I think as far as I'm concerned, central government is still in a denial, and it says that we have a lot better air compared to last so many years. And probably they say it is the best air that we have had in the last 10 years. Unfortunately, that is where the problem is. That if you do not recognize the problem, there is no way you are going to solve it. Now, the only ray of hope is that the government of Delhi, somehow or the other, the minister and the chief minister have committed that they are taking actions and they would be accountable for it. Now, based on my experience in the corporate world and where I have executed large projects and run national and multinational companies, I can say that there are three factors to solving any problem. First is to recognize it, find out the root causes of it, assign the responsibility along with what is to be done, and has to be a time frame. Because if you don't have a time frame, nothing will ever get done. There are maybe a situation that we will never reach a utopian situation, but nevertheless, good, bad, or indifferent, whatever plan you have made, if you execute it to the extent of 80-90%, you are definitely going to see some very, very good, excellent results. And from 400 AQI plus what you are reporting and which we are also seeing in the newspapers, we should be able to bring it down to somewhere less than 100, and which is probably something which is livable in the short run. Now, the big ray of hope is the Supreme Court of India. The Chief Justice of India, last 2 months, he has had many hearings, and he has vowed to take a hearing every 2 weeks. And he has asked the main pollution control agency, Central Air Quality Management Commission, to actually, revisit every target, develop the strategies, how they are going to do it, in what time they are going to do it. And based on my experience, and the amount of time that I have spent on how to control this, I have looked at every, let's say there are 12 to 13 causes, which factors which cause the pollution. Now, for each of them, there is a solution except for one, which I will deal later.
Yes.
But these 12 the factors which affect, I have summarized. Out of that, exactly what is to be done. So there are three factors. One, set a target, irrespective of how good or bad it is, within a certain period of time. Then review it every month, which the Supreme Court is probably going to do, and then hold people accountable.
Okay.
And there would have to be a system of reward and punishment. And once this is done, and what I have done as my voice, as a very concerned senior citizen, or rather I should say a super senior citizen over 80 years of age, I have written to the Supreme Court, to Chief Justice of India, through one of his, a confidant, exactly what is to be done. And there are about 23 action points which are not only actionable, but they're also measurable, which I have given. And I do hope, I have also sent it as an open letter, and I do hope that once the Chief Justice of India takes care of this, and we continue to review it for a period of, let's say, 6 months to 8 years, 1 year, and I think even after that, we will have to...
Apologies for the interruption. We do have limited time, unfortunately. I just want to say that, of course, Delhi's AQI, in some circumstances, have gotten worse, especially in recent years. And this comes, of course, as India rises up the economic tables. It's just overtaken Japan in GDP. Beijing went through a similar thing, as I'm sure you know. It's managed to reduce its pollution, its PM 2.5s by 60% in some areas, 89% when it comes to its sulfur pollutants. Since India is now an economic powerhouse when it comes to world trade and has serious economic power here, why can't it take care of its pollution problem?
Well, I think it is being tackled. You see, now that the Supreme Court has moved in, and I'm sure the central government and the state government and all other agencies involved into this will have to be, will have to get it, and they will have to get it very seriously. And I do hope that, some hope is there now with the monitoring, setting of the targets, reviewing of the targets, and holding people. Once you start reviewing, you automatically see where exactly the people are failing, who are the errant people, who are delinquent, and whom you really want to, sort of punish and get it done. Because unless and until there is a certain amount of accountability and a reward and punishment system in place, which I think the moment I'm quite hopeful that if the Supreme Court of India is going to do it on a regular basis, every 2 weeks or 3 weeks for the next 1 year, I am sure, and as you pointed out, with India's economic progress, pollution plays a very, very important point. You see, if this kind of a pollution is there where you're saying that you cannot sort of see beyond 50 feet from your nose, then what is happening is that you're slowing down the activity, and this has a domino effect, and ultimately will reflect in the GDP one day. And also it has a tremendous amount of impact on the health of the people.
Indeed.
So I think this is where the government of India has to move, the government of Delhi and adjoining states has to move, and this has to be sort of monitored by the Supreme Court of India. And that is what I hope that the Supreme Court of India, the Chief Justice, has seen my note for whatever it is worth, because it lays down exactly what I've said. Identify the problems.
Yes. Yeah. Anand, thank you very much. Unfortunately, we have run out of time, but pleasure to have you on the programme. Thank you very much for joining us. We now move on, and according to reports, Tesla is set to be one of the first automakers to benefit from Canada's decision to ease tariffs on electric vehicles made in China. Under a deal announced earlier this week, Canada will allow the import of up to 49,000 vehicles a year from China at a reduced tariff rate of 6.1%. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney said the quota could increase to as many as 70,000 vehicles within the next 5 years. Tesla is seen as having a key advantage due to its early preparations. Back in 2023, the US automaker upgraded its Shanghai plant, its largest and most cost-efficient factory, to produce a Canada-specific version of the Model Y. That same year, Tesla began shipping vehicles from Shanghai to Canada, significantly boosting Canadian automobile imports from China, particularly through the port of Vancouver. While several Chinese automakers are expected to seize the opportunity as they expand exports, Tesla's established sales network in Canada and its early manufacturing moves could still place it ahead of competitors. Well, that's all that we have time for this hour. Keep watching NewsX World for more international news updates.